Today we are going to be working on a new perimeter. That's not a surprise we're making a new perimeter, but we do need something that doesn't really need a lot of materials for, but I think it would be really cool to actually have a perimeter for this specific types of items. So, you know, the things that you don't really use too often, but you actually need a farm for at some point. Judging by the thumbnail, you can probably already guess what we're going to be building, but some of the things to do with this right here and a bunch of other crops that we will probably need in the future, not only for rockets, but for dyes and other things of that nature down the line, because we definitely need some right now. We definitely need some sugarcane for rockets because we are using quite a ton with this shadow item haul over here for us. I think I've probably used close to like 20 shulker boxes and rockets so far from this itself. Let's look at used here. So I've used 50,000 firework rockets so far in this world, so it definitely uses a lot of paper, and not only that, but also some gunpowder. We have a decent amount stored currently, but this isn't the only reason we're making the perimeter. You'll see by the thumbnail probably there's a bunch of other farms, you know, like melons, pumpkins, kelp, bamboo, things of that nature. You don't really use too much, but you will need it at some point in the world. And we definitely need some of these farms currently, especially cactus for green dye. If we need to dye a lot of terracotta, glass, concrete, things, you know, of that nature. Definitely need some of these farms to do. So what we're going to do now is sort of go pick out a location and then a full perimeter again, because, you know, we always make perimeters in this world. It's just standard for us. Basically, we don't need a perimeter off. You definitely don't need a perimeter for this at all. You know, why not? So let's go do that.
Let's go. Let's go.
Alright, so the perimeter is completely cleared out, and we also have our piston bolt completely finished to that area. As you can see, it goes at our ender distance from the main nether hub, so it is quite a distance away. We are still on 16 chunk ender distance, so that is quite a decently long piston bolt. Not our longest, of course, not going to be anywhere near the length. Not going to be anywhere near the length of the Wither skeleton and the witch farm perimeter, because those are like 3,000 combined only in one direction, so 6,000 blocks in total. So that's 12,000 blocks just between those two piston bolts right here, which is why they have no top decoration, because the bottom decoration itself took way too long. So we only did the bottom, and then the return is just completely open. We might finish it at some point, you never know. It's highly unlikely. There's never a 0% chance of it happening. So yeah, judging by the banners and the blocks used in the piston bolt in and of itself, you can probably guess what we actually will be farming there. So obviously, to get all this for the bolt, we had to finish the farms first, which you will see in a second here. So yeah, piston bolt's done. This goes obviously both directions, judging by the top and the bottom. And we did do the decoration for this because it wasn't too bad, especially with multiple people doing it. Yeah, but these are standard piston bolts. We use the old ones. Definitely, there are better designs like the Demi bolt by Talon. Definitely don't really want to upgrade them. Doesn't make too much sense to then rip out all these bolts, or not even just rip out the bolts, just place new ones next to it. It just wouldn't feel right in my head. If we were to, you know, redo the whole Nether hub, then obviously, but that's definitely not going to happen. So yeah, so obviously this is our portal to the other side where the farms are, and then we have our return bolt on the top here. So this works both ways. Definitely is a lot better than using all the rockets, which uses your electric durability. And personally, I'm having my hands off the keyboard right now and the mouse, so I will just go to the destination without this. I've explained this multiple times, but for those of you that are new, piston bolts for me are just a quality of life thing, and definitely most of the server members definitely do enjoy these and prefer these over the other alternative methods of using the boats or the soul sand, because of the fact you don't need to hold W or, you know, fly with your elytra the whole way down and worry about, you know, running into something. Because these ones, you can actually do the same thing if you wanted to. If you didn't want to get on the piston bolt, you definitely could just fly down here and then run your head against the light source here, because it is across the full perimeter. And then that would be your easy way. The hardest part would then be to turn in, but do it enough, you'll get used to it, and then you'll be faster, because obviously, yes, flying is faster. It's more of a quality of life thing, and it is a bit more expensive. So I'll stop rambling here. Let's go see where we have it planned out in creative and see how we actually want to have everything laid out so that we can build it here in survival. All right, as you saw in the time lapse, you did see we finished the full floor decoration here. This is definitely something that didn't take too long, because obviously majority of it was the basic background of one solid color. But then we have our elemental heart that Fred designed for us. Once again, Fred is just an editing god when it comes to anything photo editing. So Fred made this completely from scratch. I think the original was just a complete air. One here. So that was something I'd like noticed, and I thought it would be really, really cool to have, you know, like water, fire, grass, or earth into with the air one as well. And it creates a really nice, you know, heart shaped here, which definitely fits the AutoCraft theme very well, and definitely will fit the area that we plan to put it in here, which is the crop perimeter. So as you can see by the walls, we kind of have some rough ideas of what we want to do here, but these are definitely not the final design. These will change in a little bit. This is kind of like what I suggested we do, like, you know, different crop that we farm here on each wall. So we have the sugarcane, the melons, the wheat, and the pumpkins. So these are probably subject to change. They definitely will be a little bit more larger in scale. Sugarcane might just be a little bit larger, and melons definitely larger, and the wheat, we'll see what we do with that. Don't know for sure, but Henrik and I, or mainly Henrik, I had the original, you know, layout of the chest here for the storage, and then Henrik wanted to make some changes so that we could basically have some lamp displays for this. So within our area here allotted for this, we had some designs for compacting the lamp output here. So Henrik originally had this. I made it 8 wide. Originally I had it 6 wide, as you can see there by that over there, which is the finished product. But something that we wanted to show here is the compacting stages. So as you can see, this is our first version here, where it uses a bunch of, you know, subtracting comparators and things like that. And it is quite bulky here. Definitely not the best. You could definitely compact it down, which we did at the end. And there was even a fill one up here as well. But yeah, this is the second design here. And we go to the third design, and which is the actual one that we use. We use the subtracting comparator, so single strength 14 minus single strength 15, which you would get if you would fill this hopper completely up. You would get an output of 1, which would then power this redstone lamp and only that one because of the way we detect this one, which using the chest, this one obviously wouldn't be single strength 15 because we didn't put a redstone block there, but we did in the final design. I did realize this and then put a redstone block here so that we would only power this lamp once it's actually filled and not single strength of 1, which is how this other one works as well. So yeah, this was another 100 to work on, but honestly, this is the better one in my opinion. It's much cleaner to do and very, very easy to do. So then I went to work and made our current storage for the system right here. So you can see we use the same design, but I also did add a redstone block right there, which does work to give this one single strength 15. So then, yeah, put those main farms, how many farms are going to have. So it's 10 different farms. And you can see we have the sides here. We have 10 different selector panels. Obviously, for some of the farms, we won't have an on and off switch because I wasn't planning ahead. But however, we did, they will just kind of just be there for show for symmetry purposes. And then on the top here, we have a box sorter so that we can sort all the boxes into the correct locations. And we can do this with a very simple trick of the cobwebs here. So because we have a bunch of dispensers or droppers next to each other, we can just dispense them into a cobweb, which cancels out the momentum to the sides, and it'll drop it straight down to the water stream that corresponds to that storage here. So this one, for example, would be the one that lines up with the sorter here, which we did not fill because we wouldn't see it in SMP anyway. So whenever we decide how we want the items to be, that is how they will be in the server. Still to be determined, of course, but you can see one of the farms back there. So yeah, definitely something that was really simple to design. The help of Henrik, of course. So Henrik did help a lot with the storage silo itself. Because personally, I do definitely like lamp displays to see what the fill level of any material is at a quick glance. That way you don't have to go into each chest here and look to see if it's filled or not. The lamp display is a very quick indicator of that. For rambling again, let's go finish this decoration out and see what the final design we come out with and actually go build this in survival. All right, so the full perimeter is completely done here. This was done across some streams as well as, offline, because some people on the server don't stream. So a lot of progress does get done off stream, unfortunately. So there really wasn't a good time for me to get a time lapse here. The only thing I could get a time lapse was the floor because I was able to finish that all in one session. Basically, we didn't have all the farms planned out here, mainly because some of the designs we were still uncertain about, so we didn't plan it out completely. Some of them here we didn't even have a schematic for, so these two right here, the bamboo and the kelp, we didn't even have a schematic for. We kind of just free-handed those. And cactus, obviously, nothing really too special with that. Definitely a standard design in today's day. But some of these you probably even won't recognize because they're not the most well-known farms, but they are definitely quite unique and interesting here. So this farm actually definitely got recommended to me by Dazi, actually both of these farms here. This one is actually a cocoa bean farm, and it makes use of the hitbox of the cocoa bean itself. So it uses hopper minecart alignment. So basically the cocoa beans obviously go on the jungle logs there, and it drops a minecart aligned with those skulls up top. And if the minecart will only get stuck if there is a full grown, basically cocoa bean, which is the stage 4, I believe. So once that happens, this would stop the minecart, which would then power this block, which would push down this, and then power the sticky piston, which would then basically retract the jungle log, popping off the cocoa bean, which would then fall to the bottom, and then the player would collect that, replant it, and the cycle would continue. So definitely check out the original creator, link down in the description below. They definitely explained it a lot better than I could, but that's kind of the basic idea of it. It's definitely a very unique idea for a cocoa bean farm, and it also is basically fully AFKable in that sense, which is really, really cool for our use case, mainly because we got this for uses for brown dye, mainly because that's really all you can really use cocoa beans for, unless you use a bunch of cookies, which I don't know why you would. But yeah, so we'll go over the farms here. So this is my completely stupid, over-the-top engineered nano farm. Definitely something that's not really needed for a nano farm, but I wanted to make it as basically stupid as possible, so that way there's not much to really worry about for this design here. So we have input up here for bone meal, which lamp indicators decided indicating if the bone meal for that shulker box unloader is filled. which you would input into these chests here. I didn't put the item frames here, but I know how to work it, so I'll get this done at some point. So the bone meal goes into here, and then your output would be these 2 chests here, which would be compacted by these shulker lock loaders down here. Now it is a mix box. Unfortunately for the small form factor I wanted to keep, so you can see it is somewhat decent for what it does. I kind of know how to use mix box loaders, so we definitely could use other ones, but in this case we also do get the seeds back so that we can put these into the seed ones, the seed box, so that we can constantly get for speed dispense seeds while we AFK here, because we do make use of hopper minecarts so that most of it does get collected and then transported down and then dispensed into a water stream and shulker box loaders. Not really wasn't needed, but definitely will be really useful for target blocks if we need to use a bunch of those in the future again. But yeah. So then we have these 2 very, very simple and also unique farms. So definitely a lot of unique farms in this area. We didn't want to reuse something that's, you know, too commonly used. This one here is actually a really unique design. So usually with these smaller farms, you gotta use a lot of hopper minecarts. This one uses not a single hopper minecart, which is really, really good for the lag that this farm would create. Currently, this one, basically in its off state, there's just waterlogged stairs and things like that. And then you'll see these ice blocks every 8 blocks. Or how the farm works, there's a flying machine underneath that pulls the dirt down, which breaks the pumpkin off, of course, first and foremost. And then it will then expose this water to an open area, which will then flow the water to here. And then that's what flow the pumpkins from the back all the way to the front. And then we then load those into a shulker box loader down here. So very, very unique design, but it is something that's really, really cool in my eyes. So definitely link down in the description below to the original creator of this. It might just be a Discord link because they might not have a video on it. But definitely go check out the schematic there. Play around with it yourself because it is a very, very interesting design and really works quite well because we filled a lot of that up very quickly to get the amount required for the piston bolt itself. It's obviously the same thing for the pumpkins. All you need to do is just swap out the seed that you plant in that area. So these ones over here are just for bamboo and for kelp. Kelp kind of really only has one basic farm. If you don't want to use bone meal, you got to use the natural grow, and then you basically just flow it over to the top, float it to the top, and then flow it over, and then down into a shulker box loader. Very simple things, and the same for the bamboo. This one unfortunately does use a lot of hopper minecart. Can't really use too much about that because you don't break the bottom one for the bamboo. That way it could continue to grow up and after you harvest it the first time. So it's kind of like sugarcane in a sense. This one definitely does not need it, but I wanted to have a farm for sugarcane that could be turned off completely. So, but you did use this design here, but it is still pretty compact. I could have definitely expanded it a little bit more, but because I wanted to have an on off switch. So basically what I do is I just power this redstone block continuously so that even if the updates come from this observer here, that cannot push the extended piston backwards, basically. So that works as a really good on switch and works for our use case. And we have a couple more farms over here. So we have the very, very basic flamingo cactus farm. Just one of the best layouts in terms of it's easy to build. We could have definitely increased it by having a platform every layer. There's really just no need for it because we already get so much from this farm. We've filled up a lot in that storage. But yeah, it was something that we needed for a little bit of dye, and then now we have too much, which is usually how any cactus farm goes. You think you need a lot, and then you realize how fast this farm produces, and this one basically is almost 9,000 cactus per hour, which is all one single shulker box loader that we have down there can't keep up with. So yeah, we never need cactus again. Mainly we never need any of these farms again. We've run them for like a couple hours each. Besides this one here, which we definitely need to run this one for sure at some point. But yeah, basically never need to run these farms again besides the wheat, the chorus flower one, which we'll talk in a second, and the cocoa bean one will be the only ones we're probably ever need to run ever again this perimeter, which is just how things go. But yeah, so this one here is a really also interesting farm that does farm chorus flowers. So I can't really explain how this farm works, to be honest with you. Tazi sent me this one as well, so I know it uses snowballs to break the flowers so that you can replant it continuously. Other than that, I don't exactly know. So definitely go check out the original creators video, link in the description, because that will explain it a lot better than I could for sure. And something that's special about this one as well is we use the portals up here to constantly, or to repair, makes it a little bit better there. And then we have one more farm here, which is a sea pickle one, mainly used to get lime dye, if you couldn't guess by the colors of glass and carpet around it. Now we haven't used this one here at all, but definitely is quite fast for the size that it is. There will be a link in the description below to original creator as well. Unfortunately, there is no green coral, or I would have used that here, so I went a little bit of a blue to match the water theme and the ice. And I think it goes really well with the lime and black color scheme that went there. So all these farms and all, definitely we could fit more if we wanted to, but I wanted to keep as much as the heart visible as possible because Fred did spend a lot of time creating that heart for us, and all in all, it looks really, really cool with all of the farms and definitely fits the theme, as you can see. And then, yeah, of course, we have that main storage over there in one of the sides, which all of the farms that don't have a centralized storage at themselves, so like the sea pickle farm, the wheat farm, any other farm, gets compacted to a shulker box loader itself, and then gets manually transported via this water stream that goes to each and every farm to then transfer that to the main storage, and then gets inputted into a box where you're there. So you will be asking, what are these rail lines here that go to some of the farms? And these will be the activation lines from the main storage there, which you can see we have hooked up to 5 of them over here. So those 5 over there aren't really used, but for symmetry, I've used just the 5 over here, but kept those there. Yeah, this deco was something that was signed by Tox and Happy. They worked onto that as well. All I really do for decoration, I don't normally do too much. I kind of, ask for them to get some ideas, get them, done in CMP. Then I just kind of, give my input on what I envision the perimeter to look like. And let me tell you, these definitely came out a lot better than I originally anticipated, because you remember the first clip there where we had just, the small pumpkins, the small melons, and the sugarcane. This definitely did go a step in the right direction by making not only the spaces in between the pillars, but also the design of the actual, pixel art of the crops that we farm here a lot better. And something that would change if we wanted to, which change the height of the sugarcane a little bit, so there's a bit of variation like the bamboo. I think the variegated bamboo does look really, really good, and you can definitely tell it is bamboo from a mile away. So we moved the wheat to the top because that's one that kind of looks the best going all the way around the perimeter. And yeah, so definitely love how this area turned out. It is another perimeter, just like the tree farm area over here, that we did not plan out completely. Just like this one, where we didn't plan out the full perimeter itself, but it is still one of my favorite perimeters that we've ever done. It doesn't look the best from the map. It is definitely something that is the best to look at from, the in-game view. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. It is still one of our most proud perimeters I've ever done. This one is also going to be something that's pretty up there in terms of the decoration that was used here. So it's like sort of simple, but it also is sort of cool to look at and, admire what we've done so far. So yeah, that's everything so far for this perimeter. There's really not much to add to it. Just got to get some use case out of this area, which we definitely can do very, very soon. Make sure to like, subscribe, all sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.